Okay, friend of the channel PGR, CIG secretly revealed full-scale master modes. Let's see what our friend PGR has to say.
All right, guys, with the recent reveal for Squadron 42, it actually showcased what I believe CIG intends for Master Mode. I think this is Master Mode fully realized, and let me show you what I mean. Before we get into this video, I'd like to let y'all know that I'm doing a giveaway for LTI Argo Alice. In order to participate, all you have to do is be subscribed and leave a comment in any video between now and the end of December.
Is he theory crafting this?
Video. So with the latest inside Squadron 42 reveal, with the first and foremost, Squadron 42 reveal was amazing. It was fantastic in terms of how the gameplay was, the cinematics of it, and the experience that they delivered was amazing. I haven't seen anything like that before, right? So while I was watching it, after I watched it, I realized
I was saying that earlier. I haven't seen an intro or a prologue that long and in depth and so cinematic before in a long time. Like, it gives me old school vibes, man. I loved it. So I'm glad he said that.
You know, as of late in the PU, the community has been having a lot of issues with the upcoming changes in terms of master mode. Ships are too slow and things of that nature. And I've been somewhat vocal to say that let CIG cook, let them, you know, fully implement what they want to implement, because
he's absolutely right. The thing is like master modes could be entirely the reason why master modes is because how they're going to construct future fleet battles in an MMO, or it could be because of how they've structured the flight experience for Squadron 42. It does not by any stretch of the imagination mean that it's always going to be that way. After Squadron 42 is released, they might just do some other type of flight experience. We know this. If you've been following this long, the flight experience has changed 6 times, man. 6. So, like, I understand that it's very heated right now with people who like master modes and people who don't, and they're clashing at it. But, like, it's a moot point to me because I know they're going to eventually change it again.
Because they have a vision of what they want to deliver into the PU, in which we're yet to see. And I've always said in those videos that CIG has internal builds of big ship combat, and how these big ships are going to be able to interact and fight and you know and have them balanced in that way in terms of their role and their purposes. And essentially the light fighters are going to be icing on the cake, you know. So the primary means of combat are going to be these big ships, okay? So
what PGR is trying, like what he's saying, I believe, is that the importance tactically are on larger ships while everything's slowing fucking down. And I happen to agree with that opinion. I think they are slowing it down for that very reason alone. Is the fleet battles themselves, it will give more let's say gravitas to the situation. If you have like these larger ships coming in, carriers and destroyers, you have larger ships coming in to an area, that field of battle is like, you're like, oh shit, and shit kind of like slows down. I think that's one of the primary reasons why they did what they did on speed. A lot of people not happy. I want these discussions to happen. I want there to be like very proactive people who are saying yes and no on both sides, because it'll continually forge the flight experience moving forward. One thing is the flight experience still to this day is not where I want it to be. And I know that there's a majority of people that would agree with that. And there's also another majority of people that understand that the flight experience will also change again. But how PGR's constructing this, it shows me that he's thinking tactically. It shows me that he's thinking about the future, and I really like this type of talk. Like it shows he has vision, and this is one of the reasons I really like PGR's channel, because he's talking things out on how things will probably be. And a lot of Star Citizen content creators don't have the balls to talk about what they think about it's going to be, because a lot of them feel shut down, or they're worried about what the feedback from people, or they think that, well, maybe people aren't going to take me seriously, you know? So like the fact that people like PGR, myself, and a few others, I think ERAD does a good job. The Eradicator does a good job at that. where people will actually like voice up and say, okay, this is what I can see. There's not a lot of Star Citizen content creators like that. There really are not.
In Squadron 42,
what's up, Shy?
they did showcase this. I think this is the fully realized master mode that CIG is trying to put into the PU.
Okay, tell me why.
Let's take a watch.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us live tonight, Shy. That's awesome of you. Welcome to the live.
All right. So right here at this scene, right?
August.
So
Shift your position back and drift 8 degrees off x-axis. That should bring that Moiler into your field of fire. Corvus. Redirect to fill the gap and take those gunboats off integrity.
all right. So this scene right here is what I think what CIG is going for in terms of what the actual combat experience is going to be. When
he says that, he's speaking of from the bridge of a larger ship, I believe.
I said the big ships are going to be the primary means of combat vessels. This is what they're trying to do. They want org-to-org combat scenarios to look and feel like this.
But will they? I don't know if I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, you know, I didn't think they would do base building like they would, where you got that top-down UI. So, you know, like, I probably would have disagreed a lot more with him if I had not seen what I saw at CitizenCon in the base building UI and how it zoomed out to the macro and you saw down on all. You guys know where you guys on the same page with me? You remember last weekend when they started showing construction of your home or an industrial complex, and you get to that panel and it zooms you out and you do this like overhead kind of UI look on base building. He could be corrected, like maybe perhaps what SIG's final destination or goal is on fleet battles are like having something to the effect of the control of your ship on a 3D holographic screen. I think would be very difficult to do. We see glimpses of that already with our own radars, but on a much smaller scale. Perhaps they will do something to this effect. It's going to be sloppy and messy. The implementation, you could almost tell you right off the bat, it's going to be fucking jank as you can believe. It's just going to be all over the place. But if they are doing something to this effect, then perhaps it's almost like you could instruct others where to move. Or there would be a feature where you could have larger ships move from commands placed within this hollow globe. Then you would have to ask yourself, wouldn't that be the task of a navigator? So you would need like a navigator or the captain of the ship doing this. But then what about the other crew? Like, would that then make the other crew not as important? Not quite sure. We're not there yet, but it's not bad to talk about these things when we're theory crafting.
Capital ships, the flagships are going to be commanding and having a view of all of their assets on the field like this and give commands like that.
Yeah, so he's simply saying like a better radar system. He's basically saying a holographic three-dimensional globe radar system where you're actually able to see units. Obviously, they're not going to be organized like this in the cinematic. They're going to be all over the place, depending upon how tight your organization is. They could actually look like that. But, okay, I get what he's saying. He's saying simplistically, like, you would be able to have, like, a vision of your own units that are tied to your squads, and you would be able to look at things like this on the bridge of a larger ship. I agree. I would agree with that.
These big ships have hollow tables like this already, right? So they want, this is the reason why they're slowing things down, because this is what they want. This is the experience they want to deliver into the PU. And look how they kicked it out of the park with Squadron 42 and how everything has been slowed down. The fighters are not going at thousands of meters per second. They're going at the right
I could see it going this way. I mean, I could absolutely see it going this way. It would take an extraordinary amount of time to pull off. That would be a very difficult thing to do. But I could see this. I mean, I could absolutely see this as a route for them to go. It's just not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. But like, it would explain. I think simply put, right now, the reason why ships are so slow is just primarily for the combat experience of Squadron 42. I think they just wanted to slow it down for the Squadron 42 game itself. And I think they'll boot up another flight experience after Squadron 42 is out the door. I think it won't be very long till after Squadron 42 is booted out the door that they'll change the flight experience again. But if in fact they keep on to this model like PGR is envisioning, I wouldn't be against it. I mean, like, as a tactician, as somebody who puts units and people in the ships that they love to fly and gets them out on the field, as a tactician, this would be an amazing tool to use, and then it would totally be understandable why ship speeds would be so slow. So, I mean, like, he's speaking some sense here.
Right speed. This way, they're fighting in between these big ships. If these fighters were going at 1,000 meters per second, there's no way they'll be around this while these big ships are slugging it out, right? So let's just continue.
Shift your position back and drift 8 degrees off x-axis. That should bring that moiler into your field of fire. Corvers, redirect to fill the gap and take those gunboats off integrity.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is awesome.
Look at this. This is what CIG wants to deliver into the PU. Right?
Yeah, that's awesome. But again, you know, I want you guys to understand dynamic server meshing has to work. This is why I'm always talking it. This is why I'm always saying this, guys. Like, this is the dream. Look at PGR. Look at PGR. Look at how happy he is. Just like all of us watching this. When we watch this at CitizenCon, we were just like, yes, please. This is the dream right here. But in order for this to work, in order for the dream to be realized, dynamic server meshing has to work flawlessly. It's the lustful gaze. You can see the love. I mean, like, man, PGR, we all had that. We all had that at CitizenCon.
This is when I said CIG have internal builds of what they want ship combat to look like is essentially what we're looking at right here, right? This is, just think in the PU, this will be essentially org versus org combat. And, you know, none of these ships are flying at ridiculously fast speeds. The big ships all have different roles and different purposes. They have gunships, they have torpedo boats, they have carriers, all within these fleets. And on both sides, UAE as well as the Vandal, they are coordinating these big ships and using them for their role and purpose, right? And then notice all the light fighters are going fast enough, but not too fast, that they're flying in between these big ships and, you know, attacking, the focus firing on certain strategic objectives, essentially, right?
Scimitar, you return to play bait.
This is what they mean. This is what they want to deliver.
It's that balance between fun and realism that is going to make the game worth playing. And you always are, it's a tricky thing. It is a very tricky thing to balance those two things. Because I get the argument from the realists out there that are like, you can't limit speed in space. I get it. I get it. However, like, it would seem more fun to me on the field of battle if things kind of slowed down, so you got the vibes, the epic feels that most of these battles give us in the movies, man. It's just it's a fucking balancing act, man.
Banshee, push forward. Let's see how strong that line is. Raiden, you're their support.
This is what they want to deliver, guys.
Push forward. Let's see how strong that line is.
Look at this experience, guys. Just think of it, right? Being an org leader or being an admiral in a scenario like this, and you're commanding a fleet to go into a fight with another org, or you guys are in a war and you guys bring your big assets like this and you're commanding, right? This is why Master Mode is being implemented into the PU, guys.
Dude, man. I mean, like, that's a big ask. What he's saying right now is a big ask, and something I think we've all wanted on that level. In a large ship with as much money as larger ships cost, you would expect that to be like fucking elite. Like, let's think about this. The price of this that people have pledged for larger ships, you would expect to have this in your ship. I mean, he's not wrong. If you think about it, like, to agree with him on this, on another angle, this is what you would want for what you paid for. You would want this level of detail. You would want to know where your units are at, but it's a big ask. And, Chris and Cloud Imperium, they shoot for the fences, man. They shoot to hit them over the fences. So I could see them doing this. I don't know about if this is why Master Modes is. I don't know if I agree with him on that. I still lean more towards probabilistically that they slowed down everything Master Modes for combat dogfighting in Squadron 42 for that more cinematic feel. However, I could just as easily imagine that they slowed things down for future large fleet battles in the MMO. I think realistically what we got was them slowing things down because the flight experience of Squadron 42 had to change somewhat. So they didn't want people to go from the PU to Squadron 42 and go, wait, what the fuck is this? It's not even the same combat experience. Why is the combat experience different? So they had to find a way to slow things down, gimp the speeds, make things slower, give more of a cinematic feel to it, and they did it sliding into Squadron 42. I think that's primarily the reason why they did what they did in terms of the game dev and what was happening inside. But like, it feeds hand in hand with what PGR is saying here. And not a lot of people, except myself, when I first started this channel, and the Eradicator and a couple others, just a handful, have the balls to talk like this, because, like, you start talking like this and you're like, wow, you feel those dream vibes come back, man. You get the tinglies. You're just like, oh yeah. Like, I like what he's saying. But like, it is a big ask. It's a big ask, but for what you pay for those ships.
This is why they want us to be able to do this in the PU. So when we see them slowing things down, making changes and stuff like that, this is their vision. This is Chris Roberts' vision, right? This is why Squadron 42 is taking so long. He wants this. He has in his mind how he wants things to play out. And this is what it is. And us watching this blew our minds. Like, I was literally at the edge of my seat watching Squadron 42 when they revealed it. And it was...
This is nice to see somebody excited too. It's nice to see somebody who takes it as a fan, who's looking at this as a fan, who wants this gaming experience, because it's just refreshing. It's refreshing. I think PGR is going to blow up. I think PGR is probably blowing up right now. Where is he at? Going to give that a like. 10,000 subscribers. Congratulations, PGR. Congratulations, bro. You deserve it. You deserve it. I approve of PGR, man. Good dude, friend of the channel, and has the balls to theorycraft in a day and age where a lot of people would condemn you for it. He's out there telling people what he feels and why he feels and what he's going to envision, and it's hopeful talk. It's good talk, man. It's good, positive, hopeful talk, man. Doesn't mean everything he's saying is going to happen, but I can sure picture by what he's speculating. I can sure picture it. A lot of other people can, and I think that's a recipe for blowing up as a channel. So keep doing it, PGR. I think that's great. You got the balls to talk like this, man. Good for you. Yeah, that kid's gonna blow up.